Tammy, having gone through the brown belt test, what did you think?
It was tough, but it also proves that I'm stronger than I think I am and that all my training has paid off.
What advice would you give others that are up and coming that are nervous about the brown belt test?
Do your homework, learn the techniques, and do some physical preparation, some cardio.
Why didn't you quit?
Because I really do want my black belt, and I'm very proud of my accomplishments and how far I've come.
What would you say for someone that's never trained in martial arts and they want to get involved?
Just get on the mat, try it. It's the first step.
How was the brown belt test?
So I went into this thinking like, I've prepared for a couple months, but then when I did it, I realized that I had a lot more to work on. And at the end, you realize how fun it was, even if during it is certainly not.
What advice would you give to those that are up and coming that are going to take the test if they're nervous?
It's a lot of work to prepare for it, but do it. Even if you're like a white belt, just start preparing so far.
Why didn't you quit? Why do you want your black belt?
Because with every class that I go to, I'm one closer to getting it. So if I quit now, then I'm only 9 months away from black belt.
What advice would you give those that are brand new to the martial arts that are kind of nervous about starting?
Stick with it. Some parts are going to be hard, some parts you're going to want to quit, but you just got to keep doing it if you love it.
Rishi, how was the brown belt test?
It was quite exhausting, but overall, it was. If you knew your stuff, you knew your techniques and knew the names of the techniques, I think you'd be okay for a bit of the test.
Now, Rishi, you've already achieved your first degree black belt. Why did you decide to go back and do another brown belt test, even though you're not required to?
Well, it's actually been quite a long time since I've taken a brown belt test, almost 3 years. And I think for any other black belts or people who are going to have going to get their black belts, I think to do this test shows that you haven't just learned the stuff and forgotten it. It shows that it shows that you truly know all the things that are required for black belt beyond black belt.
If you were to give advice to a person that's watching this video that's brand new to martial arts and they're nervous about even starting Dojo, what advice would you give them?
I think my advice for somebody in that scenario would be to get involved with the instructors and to not be afraid to approach people. One of the biggest mistakes some people make is just going to the classes but never asking beyond the classes, never trying to learn outside of the classes. If you want, or even not learning at all. So what I'd recommend is to always ask questions and always ask questions and try and learn stuff outside of the class as well.
Cole, you've just finished with the brown belt test. How was it?
It was good. It was very, very challenging the first half. I actually thought to myself that I might quit and maybe I don't deserve black belt, but then just something kicked in and halfway through something clicked in my head and I said, no, I can do this. I can do this.
This was your first test, right?
Yes, it was.
There'll be many more, but what advice would you give those students who are up and coming, who are about to test, and who are very nervous about the brown belt test?
I would say just have confidence in yourself. I'm a firm believer, once you get it, you don't have to overtrain it, because then you're just going to psych yourself out. And so train enough where you believe in yourself, and then just try to relax.
Now you have a black belt in another martial art. Why didn't you quit before you got your black belt here?
Why didn't I quit? Because
what made you switch from one art to the other?
So I found martial arts to be something that just makes me happy. Yeah, I was in baseball for a little bit, soccer, gymnastics, all these things. I've always been athletic throughout my life, but none of it felt like it was impacting my life. And so I got a black belt in Taekwondo and I left. I took probably a 5-year break, and in those 5 years, my life just didn't feel right. So I came back to martial arts, and I'm so glad that I found this place.
What advice would you give to brand new people who haven't done any martial arts and they're scared about starting a martial art somewhere? Would you have any advice for brand new beginners?
Yes, my advice for them is to try to have fun, but to also hold yourself to a standard. You want to improve yourself, which is then an issue dealing with self-confidence, but martial arts is a freeing experience. By learning how to control your body and learning how to control your mind, it helps free you from other stressors in life.